Hey, hey, almost through here on the back side. Part 4, 26 through 34, still semester 1 review. Alright, what could be used here to find our total? Well, we're just going to add these numbers with these numbers, and we want to make sure we match that in our answer choice right here. We're not multiplying stuff, that's just crazy. And yeah, somehow these, I don't even know how they screw these numbers up. It's just silliness. Should be one of the easiest questions on your exam. Find the values for x and y. For some reason on our test this is a really tough question. 2x plus negative 4 equals negative 16. You just take the stuff that matches up and write out your little equation. It almost has nothing to do with matrices because there's nothing to do with them really. We're going to add 4 to both sides and divide by 2. Negative 6. So once I know that one, and since these ones all don't have the 6 here, we don't even need to check the y. But if you really want to, you can. You got your y here. It's going to match with the 10 and the 3. So hey, negative 3 plus negative 10 makes negative 13. So there's that. Alright, number 28. Lots of different ways you can set up multiplying things. First thing you want to check though is what is our size of our answer going to be? Is it going to be like these two or like these two? So it's rows by column. I got 1, 2, 3 rows by 1, 2 columns. This one 2 rows by 3 columns. Our inside numbers match, so that means we can multiply, but that means our answer is going to be a 3 by 3. So both of these are wrong. All we've got to do is decide which one of these has the right number here. So let's set up our multiply. We got our 6, our minus 2, our 1, our 4, our 0, our 5. Now the way I like to do this is I like to write this one here and go negative 4, 4, negative 2, negative 6. I like setting it up like this because it sort of makes the box for our answer choice here. So now, in order to figure out what is going to go in this particular space, which is what we're looking for, look at that magicness. We're going to multiply these two by these two to make this number. And how do we do that? Well, we take that row times column thing going on. So my 6 is going to multiply the 4, and my 2 is going to multiply the 4. So that's 6 times a negative 4, plus my minus 2 times 4. Negative 24 minus 8 makes negative 32, which means negative 32 goes in this spot. I don't need to worry about the rest of these numbers because I've got my answer right here for D. Determinant. Everybody's least favorite D word of matrices. Determinants we need to remember is our diagonals. We do the down minus the up. So our down diagonal goes this way, our up diagonal goes this way. So our down diagonal is going to be 2 times negative 2 minus, because that's what we subtract, and then minus 3 times 1. So this is going to give me a negative 4. Negative negative makes positive 3 for a negative 1 as my determinant. Downs minus ups. Down diagonal minus the up diagonal. Determinant. Starts with a D, so does down. Down minus up. You'll be alright. Okay, number 30. This one's a little confusing because it's asking about the cost of buying 1 rows. It's really just asking to solve for R. And on your actual test, I think they kind of got rid of the little story here and just said, hey, it's x and y, solve for x or whatever. So, main thing we need to do is we need to figure out what is our inverse of the 3, 2, 2, 5 matrix here in the front. Our inverse, we always do 1 over the determinant, and we multiply that by that matrix where we change the spot on these two, and these two numbers here change signs. So it's the whole flip spots here and then flip signs here. So we're going to take that and we're going to kind of do all that stuff. But first we need our determinant. Down minus ups again, so 3 times 5 minus 2 times 2. 15 minus 4 makes 11. So I'm going to have 1 over 11, and now I need to do this whole flippy changey stuff going on. It kind of looks like a little smiley face. Look at that. Got to tilt your head a little bit. You'll see it. Alright, so 3 and 5 are going to change spots. 2 and 2 are going to change signs. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that inverse thing, which is all of this, and multiply it by our 8 by 9 matrix. So I'm going to write my 8, 9 here and do my multiply, because that's going to give me my answer here. Now I just want R, and R is the top one. So all I really want is my answer that goes here. I don't care about this one. And I'm not going to divide by 11 first. We're going to do our multiply thing first. And this R got all up in the way, didn't it? Alright. So again, we're doing this row times our column. That means 5 times 8 and 2 times 9. So I've got 40 minus 18, and what's that leave us with but 22. And the nice thing about that is now I divide by my 11 because the 11 is at the bottom of the fraction, and it just leaves 2. So $2 for our rows. Nice and easy, but it's a lot of weird little things you gotta remember. And I swear, that's a really ugly looking dude. Alright, enough of that business. 31. Now right here, they're giving us this in our, x squared plus bx plus c kind of form. On your test, this is what they're going to write it as. They're going to write it as f of x equals, and they're going to do it in the form that we graph things in class, like this. Now, you might remember from talking about our absolute value guys before, that we've got y equals the positive or negative here. Well, with our curves, the positive or negative is just going to be the same thing. It's just not a v anymore. They're all u's basically. X, and then this is going to tell us left and right. Positive goes opposite, negative goes opposite, and then our outside number tells us up and down, positive and negative. So if you do remember all that, can you see all that? Let's scoot those down there for you. Maybe I should just move all that, huh? Just tells us where these things go. So the negative here means my u is going downward, but they all are. My negative 1 inside here, well, that means it's going to go to the right. So which one of these moved to the right one? Well, not you, not you. You did, and not you. So C is my answer because it moved to the right one spot. So if you kind of remember that, it's going to tell you how the thing moves around. That's all you need to do to check things. Inside your parentheses is left and right, and it's always opposite. Outside is up and down. It's always normal. Hey, that's what I just talked about. Look at that. Why did I not remember I put that slide there? Because I put it there yesterday, and that was so long ago. Alright, solutions to our quadratic. You're not going to be happy, but these next couple of questions, you've got to remember the whole negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's what you're going to need to be able to do. So we've got my a, my b, and my c. Remember that we do not plug in the x's. We're not plugging in these parts, but we are going to take those negative signs with us. Alright, so let's go. We got negative b is going to be negative of negative 6 plus or minus square root negative 6 squared minus 4 times 9 times negative 8 all over, keep going, 2 times 9. Boy. Alright, so let's see. 6 squared is 36. 4 times 9 times 8, you're going to trust me on this, is 288. I promise. I checked it. Negative and negative is going to make that into a plus. So, that's what our inside of our square root is going to become. These two negatives out here are going to cancel, make plus, so I got 6 plus or minus the square root of 288. All over 2 times 9 is 18. Now, do not just start dividing this stuff and thinking 288 divided by 18. No. We've got to simplify our square root first, and it just so happens that the square root of 288 happens to be 18. Lovely. So now this isn't quite our answer because we don't see that over here. What we actually have to do is finish off working out the little things. So I'm going to do a 6 plus 18 over 18, and well, what's that going to be? 6 plus 18 will give me 24 over 18, which if you reduce it comes out to 4 over 3. So now I got to check the minus. 6 minus 18 over 18 equals equals negative 12 over 18, which gives me a negative 2 over 3. So we get our two separate individual little answers here, and B looks like the winner to me. So you get this plus minus, and you got your regular number here. You do got to work out those two things. Alright. Now here, if you're a big fan of completing the square with the 6 and having a 1 for our coefficient here and the 6 being even, you could do completing the square. I checked for you, and on your actual exam that's going to be an odd number. It was like a 5 or a 7. Not going to be something you're going to want to do completing the square with, so I'm going to do this one with our quadratic formula again, just because that's what I think you're going to want to do on your actual exam. Negative 6 plus or minus square root of 6 squared minus 4 times A, that one being a 1 is always so helpful, and C, negative 3 over 2 times A, which was 1. So what do we got going on inside? 6 times 6 is 36 again. Minus a minus makes plus. 3 times 4 is 12. So we're going to get, wait, is that minus minus? It is. Look at that. So what are we going to get here? Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of, what's that, 48 all over 2. Now again, don't be the kid that's all overzealous about simplifying. You cannot divide 48 by 2. We need to break it down first. We'll go with, 2 times 24, which is a 2 times 12, which is a 4 times 3, which is another 2 and a 2. So I've got 2 pairs of 2's coming out and a lone 3 left inside. So that becomes negative 6 plus or minus 2 times 2 makes 4, and 3 left on the inside, all over my 2. Now, and only now, can we start dividing. And I can divide both these two numbers here by 2. So I get negative 3 plus or minus 2 square roots of 3. And we go and check and see, do we find that anywhere? Find that anywhere? Yes, right here at A. And that feels nice. Work through all that stuff and get that really nice, pretty answer of negative 3 plus or minus the square root. 2 square roots of 3. Alright, 34. Almost done. We're almost there. Last one. This one, if you wanted to work that out, x squared plus 4x, we would have to add the 3 over here, right, and get positive 3. We would think, what would we do here? Half of 4 is 2, so 2 squared would mean we would add 2 times 2 is back to 4, so we would add 4 to both sides and get the 7 here. So that's what it's looking for, is this answer. On your test, it's going to look like this question, which is exactly taken from our test from before. Why did we do this ugly question on your test? Because they put it on your semester exam. It's not just because me and Dobby are mean, angry people. We're trying to help you out. So we've got to go through all of these things and decide where along this path did they go wrong. So we subtracted 11. That looks good. They added 36. Why? Because 12 divided by 2 is 6, makes it 36. Alright, so that looks good. 36 minus 11 is 25. Looks good. We took the square root, plus or minus 5. Looks good. Now here's where they go wrong. Minus 6 minus 6. This shouldn't be plus or minus 1. It should be negative 6 plus or minus 5, which gives us 2 different answers, not both 1. So where did they write the first bad thing at? They wrote the first bad thing on step 5. So step 5 is the answer we're going to choose. I don't know if it's step 5 on your test because I didn't look at it that deeply, but it is going to be a problem similar to this. So you follow the steps along and you want to find out the first time they write a bad number. A lot of times the kids will pick step 4 because they're like, hey, they didn't subtract 6 properly. That's step 4. No. They didn't do it properly, and step 5 is the first place they wrote something wrong, so that's why we choose step 5. And I am done. And you get to move on with your lives, make good choices, and we'll see you later.